Arsenal potentially for Beth Mead getting a chance to pull on that shirt again. And we are going to see Beth Mead go back out at the Emirates as well with the rest of the Arsenal players that are leaving the club at the end of the season. There's a light show going on at the moment, and we'll hear the thoughts from Beth and from Manuela Zinsberger and others as well. Does it belong to her and those players leaving tonight? I mean, it certainly felt at times that some of the football was a little bit secondary, or is that unfair?
Maybe I'm getting grumpy in my older age, but no, I think this is about, Renee mentioned it before the game, business. But
did it feel like that at times?
It didn't, no, and that's why I'm disappointed, because I wanted to see a better game. I wanted to see more high-level game. I thought Everton were fantastic, resilient, defended well, but I thought Arsenal were very subpar, and I don't see, I think I sit on the edge with this sentiment, but then there's also doing the job. And yeah, obviously it's fantastic for the club to honour players that have been such terrific servants for the club, particularly Beth Mead. But I think the way that Arsenal performed tonight, they're very lucky. Very lucky they got the 3 points at the end. The goal shouldn't have stood. It was a foul on the goalkeeper. Lotte Rubenboy was offside initially. So, difficult night for Everton. Difficult night for Arsenal. Very lucky night for them. But obviously their fans have got the opportunity to applaud Beth Mead one final time at home at the Emirates, because, like I said, 9 years at the club is a fantastic achievement, and what she's done is brilliant.
Absolutely, and we'll talk about that again in just a bit. But that business side of things, just reiterating the point, so important for them that they finish second, so they don't have this elongated start to the season next time round.
It is important because Manchester United had that this time round, and we sort of have seen what it's done to them. I think they had a great first half this season. They've really tailed away in this second half, and I think probably load and squad depth maybe caught them out. And for the team that finishes third, it is an extra ask. You do cut your summer short. You do have to start earlier, and the games you play are tough, because you play the similar calibre teams from the nations that get that extra team into the Champions League. So it's also not necessarily games you can take for granted you'll progress. I would expect whoever finishes third, Chelsea or Arsenal, they will progress, that they should progress, but you certainly need to be in training earlier and do that extra bit. So it's certainly desirable to finish second. I agree with Izzy. The performance tonight from too many players, I felt, was a little bit lacklustre and needed a lot more intensity in certain moments. There was a few players not at their best. I know they've had a lot of games. We've seen a few players tonight start that have not had a lot of games, so I don't think they have that argument of freshness. And they just scraped over the line.
Do we applaud the fact that they've got 3 more goals than anyone else this season from substitutes? 13 goals from substitutes, or is that a negative on the starters aren't doing it?
No, I think it's squad depth. I think Arsenal's style of play as well, I've always been very complimentary of it, and I like it a lot. I think, the way they execute their in-possession work, particularly the patterns of play, are brilliant when they get flowing. And I think sometimes teams are most of the time teams are very stubborn against a ball-playing side like Arsenal. It's harder to break down. Teams are becoming more and more competitive, as we know, with the league. Therefore, the impact to win games might actually end up coming from the substitutes bench, which is why the squad depth is so important. We speak about that so often. It's been the same for Manchester City this season, the same for Chelsea, and Arsenal, obviously, it's been a really effective feature for them.
We're seeing Naomi Williams come out now, enjoying that moment. So 7 players we expect to come out and say goodbye. Getting the guard of honour as they walk onto the pitch as well. I mean, they like to honour the players that have been there for the club, that have been part of this Arsenal structure and through, and no doubt a number of those Arsenal fans staying around to hear from the likes of Beth Mead and from Manuela Zinsberger as well. So this will go on a while. There's a big old change coming at Arsenal, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a number of players leaving. There'll be a number of players I'm sure they'll look to recruit. I think this is nice to see the club honour the players. I agree with Izzy, though, on the fact, tonight there was a lot on the match. It was important to get over the line, and sometimes you're going to make that judgment call over, can we afford to do something like this on a night like this, where if we don't get the result, what does that say? Is it going to affect performance? And
did it? Do you think?
I don't know, but now there's a question mark that it might have. And like we said, the goal they got that won the game was unjust.
I don't for 1 minute think that Renée Slagers took her foot off the gas tonight. And we know her well. I mean, I fondly admire what she's done and doing at Arsenal. I don't for one moment think she intended to go into the game in a capacity where they were subpar in terms of performance. I think if they were in a title race still and it went down to the final day, would they be performing in that capacity? It's hard to sort of gauge where they're at, but the second place has to become the fight. Renée Slagers said it after the Brighton game as well. She knew that the title race was over, but they were in with a fight to come second. Immediately her brain turned from what's next, what can we achieve? And that's what top clubs do, and that's the mentality that top clubs have, top managers have. And I think the players maybe like Rachel, a lot going on tonight, a lot going on, but it's not. It's about being second. That has to be the most important thing, and they've absolutely scraped over the line tonight. Very fortunate. Everton very unlucky.
We've said that time and time again, though, about champions in the past, haven't we? You know, about scraping over the line. So, regardless, it's where, in all likelihood, they'll end up, depending on what happens with Liverpool, of course, at the weekend, and Chelsea playing Manchester United. There's been so much talk around the players that are going to come in for Arsenal. Did you see areas tonight where they are lacking?
I mean, I still think they controlled the game in large parts. I think they still are short of someone in the midfield area that is someone that can be similar to the likes of Kim Little, a younger version that can learn from what she brings off and on the pitch, but also maybe is that defensive kind of nous that's just a bit more diligent. Because I find tonight we had Mariona and Palova in there. Great footballers, love to be on the ball. I think there's games this season that need that balance. They need someone that just has a focus of being that role where they're just very defensively astute and allow the attacking players that little bit of freedom to think forward like they want to.
Just watching Kadina come out, of course, we saw her as well get her applause when Leah Williamson came on to replace her late in the game too. Sorry.
Yeah, and I think centre-back maybe is a position that I think there has been some question marks, but Ruben Roy's played a lot of games in the end and then has done a good job, I think. They obviously have Katie Reid, who we hope next season can come back and play, and I think they've got depth there, especially we've now seen Katie McCabe play there as well as cover on the left-hand side, so potentially they've got enough now in that position. But Arsenal are a top team. They're going to keep the best players would always want to be attracted to go into that club, and they've set a precedent in terms of the standards they have for the players and the environment they try and create. So I don't doubt that Arsenal will continue to bring in top calibre.
Yeah, talk of Georgia Stanway and Nabadje coming. You know, these are players that would improve this Arsenal team. But it's about also giving them that chance and the opportunity. Seeing Victoria Palova come out, we know she had the injury. First, when she came into the team, you think, here is the future of Arsenal.
Yeah, it's the type of player that Palova is. She's like an 8 or a 10, and she could also play out wide as well, sort of in an inverted winger role. There's so many sort of roles she could play in a team that is very possession-based. Like Palova, I'd love to see her stay in the league. I don't know what the future holds for her, but she's a player who will want consistent playing time off the back of that injury. She's a player with tremendous talent, and like I said, I really hope she does stay in England in the WSL. I think there's a lot of teams that she'd suit in terms of style of play, with the game becoming even more ball dominant now. She's a player that understands the game. She'd be a fantastic signing for a team in and around that cohort, pushing to break barriers into the top 3 of this league.
Yeah, Kim Little, Mariana Caldente, potentially we saw that again tonight, have been a bit overloaded, haven't they? At times it's felt like, I mean, Kim Little, could run forever, but potentially they need a little bit of a spark in that middle. It's
a market, defensive midfield in the women's game is a market which is sparse. There's players that spring to mind. Kira Walsh is still cutting it at the top level in terms of what she can do in that midfield role, been adapted at Chelsea a little bit. Lena Oberdorf, player who's off the back of another ACL injury at Bayern Munich, who's, for me, the top holding midfield in the world. Sam Coffey in that top sort of cohort that, for me, Manchester City did a tremendous bit of business bringing her to the club in January. So it's a sparse market, and it's one that's cut through. There's Damaris at Lyon, who can play that defensive midfield role, struggling for minutes. I think she'd be a player that might be worth looking at, ball-playing holding midfielder, because Arsenal play with a double pivot And I think that, I mean, who knows how they'll evolve their style of play next season, but I start to wonder whether they'd benefit more from playing a single pivot in the midfield, in that defensive area, and then pushing 2 10s on higher so that they can kind of change the structure of the way they play. But I think it's just a market where if you're a young player cutting through, it's a huge position to go and fill and go and be the next Kira Walsh, for example.
Seeing Manuela Zinsberger coming out now, long been a position goalkeeper for Arsenal, and you'll know, given your role playing in this league, just how key it can be. But some of the shots she's stopped in her lifetime at Arsenal as well. A proud moment for her walking out on that pitch.
Definitely, and she's obviously had a difficult time this year, picking up that injury right in the summer essentially, and she's had to battle herself back to fitness, and now hopefully she gets the opportunity to go on somewhere and continue her career, because she's top contributor to Arsenal, plays a lot of international football as well when she's fit and available. Again, if you've been at Arsenal, you're going to be a good addition to a lot of teams, and goalkeepers as well, another position I think we don't necessarily have a big pool of players that have got experience, certainly top level matches. So I look forward to seeing her back fit first and foremost. I think that's great to see.
Well, let's see if we can hear a little bit from her.
I definitely don't know how to start, but a big thanks to my family first, because without them I wouldn't be here. And also big thanks to my teammates, who has been so incredible. I'm proud of each of them. Keep smashing and acing. But I also want to say thank you to all the workers behind. No one sees, and putting so much effort into. And last but not least, fans, thanks. Keep pushing the women's game, keep pushing the Asa. Once a Ghana, always a Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manu. Emirates Stadium.
Lovely seeing her out there with Marvis too, and nearly a year old, but over 7 years for his mum at this club. And she's seen that real roller coaster and change in Arsenal with the fans. Someone else who's witnessed that, of course, and been very much instrumental in it is Beth Mead.
That doesn't really need an introduction, but she certainly deserves one. 9 years, 264 games, 86 goals. Emirates Stadium, our number 9, Beth Mead!
Beth Mead, who came to the club in 2017 from Sunderland, scored after just 9 minutes on her debut, proudly wears that number 9 on the back of her shirt as well. 86 goals, 265 appearances, another one tonight, of course. Couldn't get that goal in her final appearance at the Emirates. She called herself the post woman. A couple of times she hit the post tonight, but Beth Mead at the Emirates, taking the Mido from the crowd as well. We'll get a chance to hear from Beth Mead and her time at Arsenal.
Beth, come and join us. 9 very, very special years at this very, very special football club. It's obviously going to be difficult to sum that all up in a few words, but is there something in particular that you'll take with you?
A lot of things. I've been here for a long time. I've met so many amazing people. I've got a lot of family members here for life. I've had a huge honour of playing for this amazing club for such a long time, and I'm going to miss you guys so much.
Beth, you've mentioned that you've played with so many great players in an Arsenal shirt and how your teammates are your family. How special is this team?
I mean, it's tough to put into words, I think. I've had some of my most amazing memories here, and I've had some of my toughest, darkest days. I lost my mum while I was here, and I wouldn't have got through that without all these amazing people.
And Beth, you can hear this incredible reception, Emirates Stadium singing your name tonight. Just a word on our incredible supporters, because they follow this club over land and sea. No matter where we are playing, they are there. So what is your message to them tonight?
I don't think thank you will be ever enough to you guys. You guys are the best fans in the world. You've been there every single second, and we love you, I love you, and thank you so much. Thank you.
Once a gunner, always a gunner. Beth, thank you so much for so many incredible memories, and we wish you all the very best with your future.
Emirates Stadium, Beth Mead!
Beth Mead then prepares to leave the Emirates pitch for the last time as an Arsenal player. No doubt we'll see her back on it next season, but which colour shirt we are yet to find out. Watching those scenes there, Izzy, important to make the point she's not retiring, but it's been one of those moments. She talks about it there. She's grown up at Arsenal.
Yeah, she has, and she said about being the post woman. That doesn't she mean bar woman? She hit the bar twice, but no, yeah, you can see the maturity and the evolution of her game at this club, and obviously the managers that she's played under at the club, Joe Montemurro, obviously Jonas, Eideval, Renee Slagers, and obviously all the staff, and you can just see, you know, how special that club is to her. And like you said, she isn't retiring, but she's a player that's arguably enjoyed some of the best days of her career, and we'll look back on that for a long time.